Guess who's back? No, we're not going to do that. That would take way too long and be way too silly. But there has been so many professional wrestling shows over the last 3-4 days, I don't even know where I am anymore. It's like we live in a world that is just sports entertainment and there's nothing we can do about it. That does not stop me, Simon Miller, because when this damn stuff is on the TV, I sit down and I make a bunch of stupid notes that I take this, the finger of power, and I give the good bits and up and the bad bits are down. Some people call it a review, but that offends me. It's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. Let's up those downs. Oh, as you probably already figured out, because of the crazy schedule over the last 3 days, I'm only getting to this on Monday evening, which means rightfully so, all the WhatCulture editors have gone home. So this is a Simon Miller special. I'm sorry. Go. The first match we had on NXT Worlds Collide was indeed Ricochet taking on Carmella Hayes for the NXT North American title. When you sit down, cross your arms and think about it, this doesn't make any sense, but why does it have to? The thing is, we don't need to care about such things because Ricochet is just rocking my world at the moment because Triple H is in charge, he has his own finger of power, and he is using that to write down, make sure Rick looks like a star at all occasions. The man is so damn talented, I don't know why we haven't been doing this for ages. I also really like the Carmella Hayes-Trick Williams partnership, and I tell you this, as I will say throughout this video, if you wanted to put them on Raw or SmackDown tomorrow, I don't think I'd have a problem with it. It really was Ricochet just going nuts in the early goings. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bend down here and just say, please let him do this on a major pay-per-view, premium live event, very soon. And for those people that get mad every time I do wiggle, when I say premium live event, come closer, come closer, come closer. I think you have a problem. It did make me smile and be happy with my life choices. Although, this is when Carmella was all right, Ricochet, you bouncing around the place. Well, I can do that too. And he did this springboard lariat, and I tell you, he took Ricochet's head off. I mean, it wasn't quite Gunther levels, but it was still good. And they got to their feet, and they just kept doing it. But these two are basically the same person, and when that less animated one didn't work, they both flew through the air, but they were aeroplanes, and they crashed together with double clotheslines. And I was laughing like Santa Claus, like, because it was utterly ridiculous. And then got up and just went, move, wow, move, oh my gosh, move, oh, I can't believe what's happening here. And if you can believe it, Ricochet actually had the thing won when Williams decided to use distraction, or interference, I should say, for 10 MP. And he damn well put Carmelo's foot on the bar rope. That does make sense now because Ricochet, who was going to lose, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, spoiler, spoiler, can walk around saying, well, and that's not very fair because I had the match won, especially because it happened later again. This time Trick Williams was casting distraction. Rick had enough of it. It slapped him in the mouth. Fans were super into this though, and we even got a fight forever chant, which is actually terrible advice because nobody would want that. You get to day 56 and be actually quite bored, and now I have to do this for the rest of my life. And when they went at it for a little bit longer, of course, Carmella Hayes busted out the most devastating move in all sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and he retained his championship. But did he do this fairly? No, he did not. So yes, that's an overuse finish, but I always ask myself this question at the end of the wrestling match. Simon, did you have fun? And then my brain says yes or no. This time it was yes. Giving it up. There was no mucking around on this card either because we did have some unifying to do. And next up it was the NXT Tag Titles and the NXT UK Tag Team Titles. So we had Pretty Deadly taking on the Creeds, taking on Brooks and Jensen, taking on Gallus. And what I really enjoyed about this is that it was elimination rules. I don't want no one fall to a finish. I want to see everybody die. You've got to imagine as well that Pretty Deadly are pretty happy they did move from NXT UK to NXT 2.0 when they did. And this is when we get into repeat mode because once again, I think they have got to be destined for the main roster. I mean, they are so utterly ridiculous. I need that on my life on the bigger TV show, if that makes any sense. And even better was that these mother hubbards actually won. Like I wanted this when I sat down to watch the thing, but I kind of felt like everybody had a chance, but once more, WWE is doubling down on these guys. Makes me excited. This elimination stuff made it interesting straight away too because the first guys out of there were indeed Brooks and Jensen. And at that time, they were the NXT UK Tag Team Titles, which meant they weren't going to leave with all of it. I think Jensen may have taken an accidental tumble here, but I suppose it could have been planned. Because as soon as this did happen, Gallus just jumped on him, they whipped his ass before Mark Coffey covered him and he got the pin. Sadly, their success, though, was really short-lived. This was like winning the lottery, and the next week the lottery ring you up and go, sorry, John Smith, we thought you were John Smythe, you have to give us the money back, because have a guess who the second team eliminated were? If you're not thinking Gallus, there's something wrong with your brain. It was the Creeds, because they were back to their insane selves as they did that Cannonball Doomdays device, which cannot be safe. And then Julius took Wolfgang's head off with a lariat. He was down 1, 2, 3. And I swear, everybody this weekend was just watching Gunther Walter and going, we should do that. It did leave us with an interesting dynamic on paper, because you could argue that in this scenario, Julius and Brutus were the good guys, whereas Elton Prince and Kit Wilson were the bad guys. And that's how things transpired here, because they basically got in there and they jumped them. They also had to deal with the fact that at this point, all the eliminated pairings were on the entranceway just having a brawl. And I'm going, referee, you should stop that. That would not happen in any other kind of sport. What it was doing, though, was creating enough of a fracas because we were about to get shenanigans. Because earlier in the night, Roderick Strong had been found in the parking lot and he had been beaten up. And I think I know who did it, and it wasn't me. Because Damon Kemp teleported himself into the arena. He stopped Wilson from using the chair when he himself took it, and he turned on the Creed brothers, and he smacked Julius right in the head. This allowed Prince to basically rise from the dead or crawl from the dead and make the cover, and that is such a superb way for Pretty Deadly to win these tag team championships because they're such assholes. And now you're going to have to figure that something's going to happen with Roderick Strong, Damon Kemp, and the Creeds, and we have been teasing that for ages. So you see the story thread running through here. I like it. Of course, this was the show where we were defending as many titles as we could do because they had to be mushed together, which is when it was time to sort out the NXT Women's Championship. Now, quite clearly, WWE decided, well, Meiko Satomura should not use her NXT UK title, so Blair Davenport was just thrown into this match. Now, I have no problem with it, because it probably made it a better three-way, but it did make you scratch your not real beard and go, well, surely they've just done this so she can take the pin. And she did take the pin. It kind of does feel like we're doing a Roman Reigns with Mandy Rose, in the sense she's going to hold that gold for ages. And what I would advise you to do is try and see this match, because it could be the first time you've been so inclined to see Satomura in action. And many people say she is one of the greatest women's wrestlers of her generation. And it takes about 8.5 seconds to realise why. I'm also going to throw in there that I think Rose gets better every week, and Blair Davenport is no slouch. She knows what she's doing. This was a more than solid three-way. Mandy also had this special entrance, but I'm going to be honest with you, it was just arriving in a fancy dance car. Now, I guess it's cool that she's got loads of money, but I could do that. I could go rent a fancy dance car, and I could just drive into my YouTube video. And let's not pretend that other people haven't done it. The crowd enjoyed this one too, which also helped a lot, but my favorite spot, as it always will be, is when Mandy Rose gave a suplex to Davenport, and as soon as they hit the floor, Satomura flew in with the big splash. Now, I see this around about 3.7 times every week, but if somebody does it in the next 24 hours, I'm gonna sit there and go, yeah. It just makes me laugh like an elderly person playing bingo, and I don't know what that means. And yes, as you've probably figured out, my voice is going. And straight after this, there was a lot of attempts for the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, and while I'm a big fan of that, I'm kind of glad we didn't do that here, because don't forget, we'd already done it in match 1. It did lead to Satomura giving Blair this massive kick, and I think it took off her nose. And when she lifted her in the air, I was like, well, what's she going to do now? Whereas Mandy Rose went, nah, this is my time. She ran in, she smacked Blair with the knee, down she went, and she pinned her 1, 2, 3. So I guess now she can probably feud with Satomura, or she can go and do something completely different. But this was another one in the tick box, getting it up. Which did bring us to the oddest match of the evening, because I don't really see what the point of it was. Because it was Kaden Carter and Katana Chance taking on Doudrop and Nikki Ash, just because the main roster stars had basically walked down to the HQ of NXT 2.0 and gone, knock, knock, can we have a title match? And some random, I don't know, office worker shouted back, yeah, sure you can. And all of a sudden it was happening. And also, let's say they would have won. Let's say Nikki Ash and Doudrop become the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. They can't come back to Raw and SmackDown with those because we just crowned main roster tag team champions, and let's face it, so far, WWE has not been successful with those, so I don't want any more. This was a fine enough match though, although it was so obvious down on paper. But what I did like is for the first time in ages, Nikki and Doudrop were able to feel like stars because of how the crowd was reacting to them. And I do not understand why we haven't told some kind of story on Monday or Friday nights when they get rid of the Nikki Ash name and she becomes Nikki Cross, and we get rid of the Doudrop name and she becomes Piper Niven again, and then they can get super duper serious and you have a challenger for those belts we just talked about. It's not going to win any awards, nobody's going to be up on the microphone going, thank you very much for this Oscar, but does it make sense? Yes. That's right, the answer came from the finger. And sure, if you want to be a mega ass, and I know you do, this was probably the least good match on the entire card, but at least we are showing that Chance and Carter are on a little bit of a run right now. And of course, as you probably expected, after Doudrop and Ash were on a little bit of a run, who came out to cast distraction and cause all the noise? It was Toxic Attraction. And this was a good sign because don't forget that Gigi Dolan was ruled out of the main roster women's tag team tournament with some kind of injury, so I guess she's good to go again here. And they annoyed Nikki Ash so much, at one point she was like, screw it, she jumped on them, and they kind of fought away from the ring. This was a terrible idea because it meant Doudrop was left all by herself. I was like, Nikki, you're meant to be a superhero. This is the opposite of what you're meant to do. Surprise, surprise, almost instantly Chance and Carter hit their big double team finish and they got the 1, 2, 3. Now I am going to be that guy and say we probably could have just done this on the TV, but we didn't. And I wasn't offended by it. It's not like a hand came out the TV screen, started slapping me around my face. I'm a positive Pete. Up. Which brought us to the main event because we did have to unify the NXT UK Championship and the NXT 2.0 Championship, I suppose. And both Tyler Bate and Bron Breakker got special entrances, so this did feel like a big deal. But I'll level with you, at not one point did I think Tyler Bate was going to win, and he didn't. The thing is though, Tyler is so good at wrestling and has been in this position so many times before where you don't think he's going to be victorious. He knows what he has to do and he knows how he has to work in order to just make you think here and there that you may be wrong. And I would say once again, he did that very well. It still went how most Bron matches do go though, in the sense, in the first good chunk of the opening, Breakker just absolutely destroys his opponents. I mean, the whole management team may as well come out with a sign that says Bron Breakker is our guy and one day he's probably going to be the WWE champion, but I can't help but like it because he comes across like a cool dude. And you'll be going, Simon, he's just Goldberg. Who cares? Goldberg was one of the biggest stars ever. Why wouldn't you copy that template? He also used the flying bulldog for a good near fall, and Tyler Bate really kicked out of that one, so hopefully we do have some plans here. And the last 5 minutes of this especially was super duper good. I mean, there was full on counters, reversals, and Bron Breakker powered up even more, but this is when Tyler Bate was able to use all of his HP and MP, because he was kind of throwing Bron Breakker around as well, and we haven't seen that much, so it made it a little bit interesting. The best part though is when Bate deadlifted him right into the Tiger Driver 97, and I can't lie, I did bite on that a little bit, as I did when Bron Breakker grabbed Tyler, he lifted him up into the press slam, and then he gave him the big old slam down to the floor, and he has won with that move many a time, and at the last second, Tyler Bate got his foot on the rope, and I was cheering. It was kind of a bad move in many ways, because Breakker pulled his singlet down, which means he's now extra mad, but when he went to finish Tyler Bate off, he reversed it into the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, and I actually thought he was going to win with that, even though it would have been a terrible idea. And actually, it was a bad move by Tyler, because then he kind of did the head springboard off the rope. He turned right into the spear, he was dead, he had no ribs, I'm sure he puked up all his food from that day. Breakker pinned him for the 3, and now he is your double, triple man, whatever you want to call him. They shook hands afterwards to remind you that everything is rosy and peachy in NXT land, and then Tyson Fury got in the ring and sang American Pie. That didn't happen, but it sounds like it should be some kind of joke. It wasn't. Let's never do it again. So of course it is going to get an up. I actually thought this was one of the better main events that NXT has done recently. And just to be the broken record to finish off, if you want to put Bron Breakker on the SmackDown or Raw roster at any time in the early future, or the near future I should say, don't know what the early future is, a new time splitters game, you probably could do it, because he smells ready for me. Which brought us to the end of NXT Worlds Collide, and look, it was fine, it was good, it was entertaining. And once again, if you want to be that guy, yes, it was probably the third best of the 3 shows we did have over the weekend, but don't get mad when you have lots of pro wrestling being thrown at your face, because you can pick and choose as you like. It's getting it up. Now please do leave a comment below and let me know what you thought about last night's NXT. Like the video, share the video and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com where you can read yourself some articles. Make sure you come follow us on social media at WhatCulture WWE and at Simon Miller 316. And go watch another video, because I think I am actually going to lose my voice soon, so you're going to have to see me another way. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. I would say I'm going to rest now, but it's raw ups and downs in the morning. But I will not complain. Keep it coming.